Hi, everybody.
Happy Monday.
It is Monday. We got the day right. That's good.
We got the day right. We're on a good. You know what? Because we got to relax.
We had a day.
We did. So welcome to Live from Rabs from inside Rabs Country Lanes. Before we started, I yelled quiet on the set, and there's nobody here.
Well, everybody is on. It was quiet.
It was very quiet. So thank you, the studio audience for indulging us. We Ray's in the pro shop. Jimmy's in the back. I'm not sure what Jimmy's up to today, but he's got no Michael.
Yeah,
so
he's very quiet.
He's doing his thing. Terry's in the office stuffing envelopes, so it's really quiet out here today. I'm sorry we disappointed you all if you came to see us yesterday.
Yeah.
Brian says he didn't know what to do from 2 to 3 yesterday. Well, you didn't get to spend it with us. I think we are now starting a trend. I think we've decided that we are officially
going to be off on Sundays.
Going to be off on Sundays, so 6 days a week.
Yes.
So
and that's plenty.
We're on.
You know what? We're doing it in honor of. That's our phase one. Our phase one.
I like that. So our phase one started yesterday.
Yeah. Yes.
So
we started
as a result
a day
of
early.
our phase one, where we are going to come live to you Monday through Saturday, taking break on Sunday. You know what's going to happen because we officially took a break.
It's going to rain on Sundays now.
Every Sunday.
Yeah,
the last 2 Sundays were beautiful.
Yeah.
And next Sunday, just watch. I know.
Just don't jinx it, Frank.
Oh, that was not so slick.
It wasn't so slick.
Whatever you
but
guys
I do have a gift for you.
You were not slick about it, but that's okay.
I have a gift for you. You gave me a gift last week. We like to buy things
we get gifts
for each other. And this is a thing for your grill.
What is
it? It's a scraper for the grill.
Oh, wow.
And it's a wooden one, and it's supposed to be, it conforms to the shape of your grill.
Interesting. So it softens, it'll soften
as
over
you
time.
Scrape it, it kind of...
The great scrape.
The great scrape.
Check that out. Thanks, Naz.
And we put the little W on there for Wilkinson.
A nice gift that you can get here in
yes.
Available at
Country.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to take a video and try it out.
Yes, it's supposed to be. I've heard very good things about it, so I thought I would pass it on to you.
Well, thanks for telling us we deserve a break. We appreciate it. So, wow, yeah, I can't wait to use that. I'm probably going to get to use that tonight when I
Wonderful.
I have to say, grilling tools are like the are tough because everybody has the best scraper and you don't want to ruin the grills. So I would think that there's got to be a science behind using wood, no wire bristles.
Right. It's supposed to preserve the finish of your grill grates.
Give it a shot.
We'll try it out.
I take a hot rag. I usually use that.
Yeah, try it out. Let me know.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks. Hey, so live bowling on Saturday.
I watched. And as someone else said, I was exhausted after the first couple of guys bowled. It was interesting. It was different.
I liked it. It was definitely different.
Yeah.
And they called it the inaugural Strike Derby, so it looks like it's something they're going to continue.
Right.
One of those things that's coming out of this. I thought it was fun and interesting to watch, but yeah, I was a little exhausted watching.
Yeah, I was. I was wondering, it was odd watching them bowl like that. And you can kind of get the feeling of, it took them a little while to because they're so used to throwing a shot and posting after the shot, to just throw the ball and walk away.
Right.
That, it was different. It was different for them. It reminded me of another sport that does... So, like the long drive contest for golf, but although usually in golf the pros don't usually do that, but honestly the home run derby
but they're static in one place.
Correct.
They're not.
But I mean, I think it was. I kind of got the same kind of feel for it. That you don't want anybody to get hurt doing anything like that. But
no, and of course the young guys prevailed. So Chris Prather took home the trophy, which was pretty cool. So it's on if you didn't get to watch it, you can check it out on PBA.com.
It was cool. It was cool.
Their Flow Bowling channel. I'm sure I don't know if it's there yet, but I'm going to assume it's there. And you can see some recap. And then is it next Saturday is the next show?
I think they said next Saturday.
I think we've got shows in the next few weeks. And then some of the ladies will be on.
Yeah.
Danielle McEwen. So we'll get to talk to her on Wednesday because Danielle McEwen's going to be on the show. PWBA champion, superstar.
Yeah.
And it'll be after this live experience Saturday that she got to watch.
Right.
But I'm assuming, I know they taped one of the shows. So I don't know if they're live again this week and then tape the following week.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Or if they taped the other two shows. So we'll have to find out from her.
I'm sure she can tell us.
I'm sure she won't be able to divulge. But when you ask them certain questions and they can't divulge or the way they answer, you can usually tell. You can
kind of figure it out.
Either they did really well or did poorly. So it'll be fun to ask her opinion, and then of course her perspective, especially now that the PWBA season
is folded.
And that's
now.
And for the girls, it's a big thing. And if anybody in the social space paying attention, I will say the girls, while they're disappointed, they've been sharing their thoughts and through this time, and hey, there's next season. The beauty about this is that we know there's going to be another season.
Right. It's not like the future is unknown for women's bowling.
Right.
They understand. And listen, it's it's just them kind of getting back to having something and then kind of having it snatched away. Kind of is probably a little bit of a bitter pill, but listen. Everybody understands.
Right.
That
like I said, the uncertainty won't be what the girls went through last time.
Right.
So that's the good part. So we know that there'll be a season. There will be a season next year, and this year it's a tough decision to make because even everybody has the crazy part. Everybody has a solution.
Of course.
Why don't you do this and why don't you do that? Well, the larger thing, if we were hosting that event, and then they just continued this season, and then now I didn't have that opportunity, didn't afford me the opportunity, or even if you kept with the season, we here are still closed.
Yeah.
What if we open up and we probably couldn't deliver? We couldn't deliver a pro-am because you can't deliver a pro-am if that's part of your
Yeah,
and that's how you generate the money for those events.
A lot of times when people come up with solutions, they're looking in a small little box. They're looking at the single.
And it's very easy to say, let's just do it without bowling fans. And that's something that our environment could do. But as a proprietor that hosts those events, the money that you do make is at the door.
Yeah.
The pro-am, your food and beverage sales. Right. So
because that is pretty much
that's it.
Losing.
It costs you money to host those events to bring
and
pros.
not a little bit of money. It costs a decent amount of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah. Is Greta cleaning? Does Greta have? Looked like she had a broom in her hands.
She might. I don't know what's going on in there. Bless you.
Thank you. Oh, maybe not. She was picking stuff up. She's bringing back the newspapers. Hey, Greta, just so you know that you could now swap the old newspapers for the new newspapers. Greta and I go back and forth with the newspaper sheet. It's like the library.
Yes.
I'm going to take this home and then I'll bring it back tomorrow.
I'll bring it back tomorrow.
So we get to read the old advance, which we already do when we read online.
Right, but she doesn't read online.
No, it's good. It's good. I love it. I still like reading it.
Yeah, the paper.
Anyway, hey, so Monday, sorry we disappointed you with no show yesterday, but it really was nice out. And so we are taking a little break once a week.
Phase 1 for us.
Phase 1 for Live from Rabs. I like that. And happy phase 1. Today is a day that we should all be celebrating that we are starting a little jump start and getting the economy rolling. I heard 400,000 people in New York City are back to work. For phase 1, that sounds like
seems like a lot of people.
Like way too many.
Yeah. But if you think about this, manufacturing jobs.
Oh yeah.
Some retail is probably going to be up and running with obviously curbside and delivery, but there are a lot of people in the workforce in New York, and
I think it's great.
You can it's
going to be very. I can't understand the whole, like, if I call Macy's and place an order and it's curbside, the whole shopping experience is still not the same. I could still shop online and make sure I pick up what I want,
right? As
long as I know if I'm looking for something specific. But the shopping experience, is
shopping,
part of
looking
and perusing.
Right.
So at least it's a start. So happy phase 1,
yeah,
which means that we're one step closer to phase 4
Right.
of opening, which if all goes well, that's another 8 weeks. And so we really were looking forward to this point because that gives us a little more clarity.
Correct. We kind
But we
of,
don't, I mean, a little clarity.
we have a very
This
loose timeline.
This
Very
much
loose.
clarity today.
Yeah. Well, it's better than this much.
It's better than right, 0. Because we're supposed to, every 14 days, the next phase starts. I just want the governor and the mayor to stop with their spat and come to a decision and say, let's do it, make it happen.
Yeah.
And hopefully what's been happening in our environment with people protesting and being in large gatherings doesn't set us back.
Yeah, no, let's hope not.
But I think that is now a real concern that people do have.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that doesn't set us back. We're hoping that we can still move forward. And
that's
phase 4 will be here before you know it.
Before you know it. Blink your eyes.
And I love seeing my friends who are around the country enjoying
dining
out. And every time I get a picture or they post something, I text them and say, thanks. I'd like to know what that feels like. Dining out for us has been our backyard.
Yes, pretty much. That's dining out.
So, Naz, we've invited 2 special guests with us today.
Very special. Very special.
So you teased it last week.
Yep.
And we got them on today.
Joe DiModio and Joe LoVerde are both here today with us.
They're back.
And we're going to talk some sports and whatever they want to talk about.
That's loaded.
We should talk about haircuts. Joe looks like he's got a haircut. I haven't got one.
My wife gave me one on Saturday.
There it is.
3 on top, 2 on the sides. Razor cut.
I was able to get a trim myself. In the house. So I'm keeping it long on the top to make it feel like I still have, not so much a haircut, maybe not as noticeable, but it's a nice feeling, Joe. Maybe you should trust someone to cut your hair.
Well, she does a good job, and I saved $14, so I got 2 haircuts. So, any money in my pocket is good money. So I'm happy with that.
I love when I go and all these young guys are in the barber shop, and then they cut my hair, and the whole floor is white.
That's great. Hey, but I have some breaking news. It came out about an hour ago. The MLB owners finally blinked. They proposed a 76-game season, and now the players are up. It's a 75% prorated salaries they'll get. And if the players approve it today, tomorrow, they'll start, I think they said July 10th.
Wow.
So
that's big news.
I missed the Mets. I missed watching Jacob deGrom and all those guys go out there and play.
So what do we think? Do we think that there's a possibility that the players are going to accept this deal?
Look, I'm not smart enough to be able to make a real judgment, but the guys who are all say there's going to be a season. The guys like Smoltz and Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling. I've heard all those guys talk about it. They say there's going to be a season, so there's too much money that would be left on the table, and so I trust them. How about you?
I think the players have to save face, and the owners. In the middle of a big pandemic, people want to see sports and baseball. I think if they want this baseball to flourish the next 10, 20 years, they need to get on the field right now. If they don't, I don't know if I'm going to ever watch them again. I know I said that last time and I watched them like a month later, but, I think that they got to do it for the people of America, the baseball fans of America.
I don't know if you agree, Joe, but the other sports all saying they're starting and coming up with dates makes baseball look really bad.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The NFL's been like that from day one. I mean, Goodell said we're going to push ahead and start the season in September, and I think the MLB has to take a cue from that and have to learn something from that and get them on the field as soon as possible.
Yep, I agree.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think the other sports were so quick to jump on an agreement, and it seems like baseball is just dragging their feet? Is it on the, I'm not saying to place blame, but is there one side that maybe is dragging a little bit? Joe? LoVerde?
How do we go for L&D?
L&D.
JD and JM.
I mean, it's obviously, the other sports were already started, and so they're looking to finish, except for football, which looks like their season, the baseball would have been going on. It would have started now. So I think that's where the issue is. Plus that there was a disagreement on between the owners and players of exactly what their agreement would be, and maybe because there's more people involved with not necessarily not compared to football, but with baseball you're dealing with a lot more players, I think, and you got guys who aren't even in the country right now. That have to all come back. So there's a lot of more moving parts, and I think just because it hadn't started yet. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I mean, baseball, they were supposed to start, April 1st, March 29th, whatever it was. The season got paused. The NFL was still, 2-3 months out. So they have the luxury of being 2-3 months out, the NFL. So I think they're sitting pretty, Goodell and his boys. But as far as MLB and the plays, please get back on the field. We need to watch games. I can't be watching reruns of 2015 and 2006 and 1986 with the Mets. I'm getting tired of that.
You can only watch so much classic baseball and get aggravated at the same time because we were aggravated fans then, and now you're continuing to aggravate us because we're watching crap on TV. I mean, give me a break.
It's easier if you're a Yankee fan because there's so many more classics to watch. If you're a Mets fan,
you're right. Very limited.
I like the really old games. I like watching the really old games. Like I like the 69 World Series now. I had Swoboda as my manager at fantasy camp which, by the way, Joe, you need to go to fantasy camp.
I know my father wants to go. I might take my dad maybe this year or next year because he wants to get out there and do it. He's getting old. He'll be 80 years old in August. So, I mean, I think the time is right now. He's still playing softball, so he's in pretty decent shape.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, he'll love it. You'll love it. But so I've had Swoboda as my manager for 3 years, and I've gotten to watch him make that catch. I don't know how many times now.
You know what? It's so funny to me when I watch the old games, like how old the graphics are.
Right.
And it's just so, you forget how spoiled you are now with technology on TV and even replays and like when they show how up a play like in super slow motion or pitches. You watch those old games and it's like, oh my.
Right.
Someone might have been shooting that from a camera in the stands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get locked in a time capsule watching those games and you wonder how we even watched them back then. I mean, we're in a fog now. It's so blurry, the picture, and now it's like so crisp.
But you didn't think anything.
You didn't
that
think
goes
it
with
then.
old TV. I mean, you don't really think
probably
about it.
20 years from now, I'll be saying the same thing about,
Not now.
2020. So who knows?
We'll really be able to see the nose hair. I mean, what more high definition could you get? And Joe DiModio, if you remember when you were on earlier in our show, that was the beginning of what would have been the baseball season, and we were talking about the Mets and the classics, and they were starting to show these old games, and the Mets still had no wins at the beginning of the season of playing old games. It's sad, and so is it the fact that the players agree? I hate to use the word greedy, but that's what it looks like. Are the agents pushing? And you're talking. I think the point you guys both made. I think it's a lot more people because the minor league is affected at the same time as the major league, and then it's a longer season to begin.
It's a lot, yeah. There's a lot
comparative to the other sports. So there are a lot of moving pieces. I'm glad that I know that the last proposal was 50 games. So now they've pushed it up. They've added 20-something more games. Is that what you said, Joe?
Yeah, 76 games schedule the owners proposed today. So I'm hoping they get this going and they get back in the field. They're going to start spring training. They said 2 weeks from now. They get back by July 10th. So
it'll be nice when they do spring training. At least we'll get if they televise those games.
Right.
We'll get something.
Games.
Yep.
Did they say anything about? Okay, right, because we had a little bit of spring training. I mean, would we have a week or two of spring training?
A little bit.
For all this,
yeah, a little bit.
Are they going to go back to their regular home stadiums, or are they still looking at that revised playing in the South, revised division type concept?
From the story I read from NJ.com, which is our sister website, the Staten Island Advance, they said they'll be at the home stadium, so they'll be at Citi Field and Yankee Stadium.
Oh wow! No fans.
And No fans yet. That's going to be down the road. They're going to have to revisit that, they said. But they're saying that no exhibition games, just like 10 to 15 days of spring training, the pitch is back in shape. And
no games.
Back in shape. Yeah, no games. And then they're going to start the season. I think the players are more concerned about their health. That's why they're kind of skeptical about doing this, because if they get hurt, God forbid, or someone gets an arm injury, one of these great pitchers, Jacob deGrom or something like that, Gary Cole from the Yankees, it could end their career basically. So I know why the players are upset about it, but doesn't mean you have to throw these guys into the fire and pitch 7-8 innings right away. They could throw 3-4 innings the first couple of outings.
Right. We just want something.
Yes, anything.
I have the 20-game package with my kids, and I would have been to 10 games already.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right?
It's the whole thing is interesting because you think the owners have more to an extent have more to lose. No fans. You're also looking at no fans, which is a big part of the revenue stream.
Right.
The food and beverage operation alone is a big part of keeping those stadiums open. So if we're willing, if this group is saying, and
if they're willing to concede
it's
that,
easy for the owners to say X, but at the same time, if they're willing to give up X, because there's money in TV rights and people are home, so more people are going to be tuning into live baseball, but they're losing. There's a lot of money being left on the table without having just not having fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
Forget about anything else. And to operate the stadium, it still costs the overhead is still the same minus the extra payroll for
staffing.
the staffing.
Right.
Yeah, the people that are losing the most are the guys that sell in the concession stands. Those guys are taking the big hits. I mean, the owner's going to make the money, the player's going to make some money. But the people at concessions, the parking people, they're going to lose a lot of money. That's the bottom line. So little guys losing again.
The ushers.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of them who work at both stadiums. Same thing with the concession guys. A lot of the concession guys work at both stadiums.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If they work for Aramark was the food service for them, so they interchange. And I know some folks that work security in the stadium.
Right. That I know. I
didn't
know.
Now, so think about that. There'll be less people working. So to that, are they just going to rotate them because they still need some staff?
Right.
Or let's see how long it takes them to put some people in the stands.
Right.
And where are they going to? I heard that the writers aren't going to travel. I don't know if that's true or not. I heard it from, I think it was just a family discussion. I heard
the same thing too. It's not in that story. I think the home writers, the New York writers will go to the New York games, but when we travel to Arizona or wherever, the Texas, I think the home papers will cover their home teams, and maybe there'll be like stringers and they'll send stories to the home team papers and stuff like that. So that's what I'm guessing.
I remember when Johnny Verderosa, this is a name from the past, when he was boxing, and he fought. He beat Sean O'Grady in sort of a comeback fight for him in the early '80s, I think it was, and it was on Channel 4, and Dr. Ferdy Pacheco was doing the color, and I interviewed him after the thing, and he's saying that the writers should never have to come to the events, that they should cover them all on TV, and that's how they should get their do their interviews from the TV interviews. But I don't think that we're going that way.
I mean, that works, Joe. I mean, if you can get a hold of the boxes, the winner, the loser, and the trainers and the people you want to talk to. If you're at the event, it's easier. But if you're on the phone, that's kind of tough. But I mean, we've been doing that with the Advance now. At some of these, the past 3-4 years, they cut our staff down, drafted 32 people. At 1998, we're down to 3 staff writers right now. So we're getting a lot of stuff via email and through the telephone. We go to as many games as we can, which is not a lot, but that's the way to do it now. Zoom, telephone, and emails. When people type through email, the quote's already typed out. So you got to do is copy and paste, make some corrections, and it'll be okay. So,
yeah, you also, that's got to be hard for the media because you're writing, and even if you can go to some and you can't go to all, you're writing from your experience sitting there, and you only get so much.
You only get
through the phone. You're not getting that, one-on-one, even if you're watching after. I mean, it certainly is tough because you're driving off. It's not something I've done, but I can see where that would be difficult for you guys.
Yeah, it's. I think we're going to see a lot of changes as a result of this pandemic. Anyway, we're going to find out some technology that works and it can can enhance what we already do. And I think, medicine
Yep.
is going to probably make a big jump after this. And I think that teachers will probably find a way to, not that remote learning is in no way a replacement for classroom learning, but there'll be ways to utilize that, some of the remote technology.
Yeah,
I'm not against it. We have to embrace it, but I think there are still things that you
Have
still
to be
have
done.
to
Yeah.
take in consideration.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
We
I
just
know.
want
I know. At the Advance, they don't want us coming in every day. When we go back after Labor Day, we're going to have staggered shifts and maybe like 6, 7 people in the newsroom at one time, and then they want us in like maybe once or twice a week. So I mean, for the sports, it's no big deal because we're always out covering games. But I guess for the news reporters, who are always in that office, they work the 8, 10-hour shifts over there. When they're not out covering stories, they'll probably go to the houses and write stories, like they've been doing now for the past 3 months.
I mean, obviously, I've been away. I haven't been worked there for a while. It's been a long time. 1986. Are you guys now working for SI Live or for the Advance?
We're working for the Advance, but SI Live is like a sister part of it. Advance Local Media is the whole empire. The Newhouse empire is now Advance Local Media. We have 15 websites, 20-something papers, and a bunch of magazines across America. But it's called Advance Local now. And Caroline Harrison is the president of Advance Local.
And are you guys still designing the pages, or is that being done? How is that done?
It's being designed in a pub hub in New Jersey, in Edison, New Jersey. There's like 26, 28 guys and ladies in a room, and they could be doing multiple papers. Star Ledger, the Advance, Oregon paper, papers from all over the United States, and they help each other out. But they have some standard pages, like the weather page is standard. They have like the agate page for sports. That'll be a standard page. If it's like a college basketball tournament coming up, they'll have standard college basketball pages. So they just slap them in every paper. Then the local part, like someone from like Carmine Angioli is still doing the local part of it for the Advance. So he'll do all the high school stuff and the local stuff.
And I remember you and I ran into each other at one of Jimmy Elliott's bowling tournaments, maybe like 5 years ago. And I remember you telling me that SI Live was almost like the wire service.
Correct.
For the print edition.
Yeah, we'll put out 10, 12 stories a day online, sports stories, and the paper will take what they want. They'll take maybe 3 or 4 of those stories. Maybe they'll hold something for a slow day and maybe put 2 in the next day's paper a couple of days down the road. So that's what we're doing now. Everything that gets online gets cut up in the paper, edited, changed, or, they don't use it at all. So people call me up and say, hey, I saw the story ran online on Monday. When's it going to go in the paper? I have to dish them to Carmine, and Carmine's going to deal with them and say hey, we're not going to run it, or it's going to be a different version, or whatever the case. That causes problems. So we try to get everything in locally.
Yeah, that's not new.
That's not new.
I
mean,
look at the draw. Sorry.
I was going to say today it's Carmine. Yesterday it was Jerry. I mean, nothing new, just a different person at times, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Hey, so Joe Damodio, during this time, I mean, as a sports manager, there are no local sports really. So telling stories, you've been creative, and you guys have been and trying to dig deep for certain things. But what has this experience been like for you? I'm sure it's challenging, but how are you, using that time to the best of your ability? Are you also writing other stories for the Advance?
Well, I'm trying to do a lot of vintage sports stuff, a lot of looking back pieces and feature stories because there's nothing going on. But now I've been assigned with the sports staff to do high school graduations. We have 2 sections coming out, June 21st and June 28th. We're selling a bunch of ads. I guess the parents are buying ads for their kids. So now I'm stuck doing, stories, graduation stories. We're doing feature profiles, feature things like that. So I'm happy with it because it doesn't matter if you're writing sports, or you're writing, feature stories on people out in the regular world. It's the same thing. Once you establish a lead and you get to the body and the ending, to me, it's all the same. It's just you're not dealing with the sport. So, or a field or something like that. So basically we've been assigned to do stuff like that. We're doing more news side things now. And we'll probably be doing that right until Labor Day. Hopefully the high school football season starts on time. That's in doubt too now, they said.
Wow.
Joe, when I went to I work for the teachers union now, the United Federation of Teachers. I put out their newspaper. And when I went there from the sports department at the New York Post, people say, well, why did they hire a sports guy? sports guys cover everything.
Exactly.
They cover labor issues. They cover crime, because all that stuff's involved in involved in sports. All that. So it's not, and we do people stories. We do, so sports writers can do anything.
Yes, we can.
Well, and so to the point, I would argue that most of your stories are human interest stories to begin with.
Right.
Whether you're writing the guy with the most home runs, or the story about a guy who won an event, or a lady that won an event, or history was made. I said all of that, while it's factual and historical, they're human interest stories, right, because it becomes about the people or the person or the team.
Right.
Well, the people now, I think the readers know what happened. If you cover a game, they know like Farrell beat Tottenham 7-2 in baseball already, because it's been in social media. People talk about it. So now you try to go to the game and find a story, find a feature story. Why did Farrell beat Tottenham 7-2? Maybe it was the first time they beat them in 25 years. Go back to the past game they beat them 25 years ago and do something on that. Try to bring a new element, because everybody knows the game result already. It's the same thing with Major League Baseball and football. Everybody knows already that the final score and who did what and the stats of all these fantasy owners. So I think you have to go out and find something that people are going to want to open the paper, and you want to kind of lure them in to read the story. So that's what we're trying to do now.
I think even before all the social media, both of you kind of always dug for the story underneath. And I think, I think that's what made your columns both really interesting to read. You always looked past what the score was and always looked for the other story.
Well, I mean, Joe was the guy. Joe was the bowling guy. I learned from Joe. I wasn't there with Joe. I started in October of '86, but I used to wake up every Sunday morning in those late '70s, early '80s. I used to go to Joe LoVerde's column. And after Joe left, I think there was two bowling writers before me. There was Andy Goldberg, I believe, Joe, and then there was Bill Maroney, who I took the job. So I mean, but Joe was the guy. I wanted to emulate Joe, and I've done half that in the past 34 years I've been at the Advance. I think I've accomplished a lot. So
when there used to be, back when in the old days of the Advance, whoever worked the overnight shift was the bowling writer, and it didn't matter if you liked bowling or not. So you had guys who worked that overnight shift. Guys like Bill McDonald and Frank Bauer and Vinny Dudley, and then Andy Lagomarsino, who's one of my, still to this day, a very good friend of mine. He was the overnight shift. Andy hated bowling, and he was a really good guy, but he stopped writing the bowling column, and there was no bowling column.
Wow.
For a short period of time, and then they started the weekend section, which at the time they called it the Friday section. And Lou Berganzi was the editor of it. And he wanted to add a bowling column to it. And that's how I started writing. Even though I didn't work the overnight shift, I started writing the bowling column for the weekend section, the Friday section. And then they decided after a year or two of it being in the Friday section that it should move to the sports section. And then I got lucky because Mark Roth and Johnny Petraglia were both living on Staten Island. And just, a timing thing, we started going to PBA events. And so I got involved in some of the national stuff too as a result of that. And Joe, we did have, it was Andy who was working part-time at the Advance when I left in 1986, and Billy Maroney, who I also worked with at the Advance. But then Joe's been the only guy since.
Yeah, it's been me and a little bit of Mike Anderson actually covering some sports. I've been the bowling columnist guy, but the bowlers are great to cover because there's always a story. I mean, these guys are characters. I know on the last show I said the same thing, but they always have a story. There's always something going on. I covered a bowling match. My first high school bowling match was in 1988. It was Tottenville versus Curtis. And it was Wes Houseman and Mr. Kubizak. They got into a brawl. The two sons were bowling, and a fight broke out. I don't know what was that. I think it was that bowling on the green. So I thought this was going to be something easy to cover. Bowling, hang out with the coaches, have a coffee and some donuts, and a fight broke out in front of me. And the coaches are breaking the fights up, and the kids were going crazy. It was insane, but that's what it was all about, But bowlers are great. They've always been great to me. I still picked Jeff Charest as a 16-year-old bowler with bowling at Country Lanes. I picture him still as a 16-year-old. I know he's probably 50 years old now, but I have these visions in my mind, and it's gone like that. The time it's gone so fast.
He's not 50 yet, but he's the same height.
Okay, yes, exactly.
If you're watching, you can you break my chops, but it's right.
He's a better bowler than me too.
I think of all the sports, though, the athletes I've dealt with, the bowlers are the more salt of the earth, relatable people.
Yes, without a doubt.
And that's why I always enjoyed covering it, because you got real stuff from them. They weren't guarded in their answers and stuff, and they didn't perceive themselves as above you because they were the experts, who actually are playing. I loved covering bowling for that reason. I just thought the people were great.
Yeah, they wore their emotions on the sleeves, and they always had stuff to give you. They filled my notebook with quotes and great stuff. I could write stories 2 days after the actual story took place, the actual event. So that's why I kept some of that stuff in my column. I called it, fodder, column fodder, and that's what I did. But it was great. It was a great time to cover bowling back then. You had Johnny Petraglia and Mark Rorts. You had the national scene, like you said, plus a bunch of these great guys coming up. I remember covering George Tritelli. He won like 6 of those New Year's Singles Classic tournaments, like 6 in like 10-year span, whatever it was. So I grew up with those guys. Those are great guys. And those are my bread and butter guys. So that's why when I do vintage stuff, I go back to them usually. And those are the guys I remembered, the Rob Vinci's of the world, and Quitellas and Jeff Charest, and those great guys, that I remember. They're my age group, I guess. The Kevin Rourkes of the world, and those type of guys.
The 80s, Jim Elliott actually taught me a lot about bowling when Jim was the coach at Port Richmond. I think he was the girls' coach.
I didn't realize that.
And I covered a playoff match at Rainbow Lanes in Brooklyn. And when it was over, Jimmy and I were in the parking lot, and I basically, we talked for about an hour afterwards, and it was like an education. There were things I didn't know about bowling that he, even though I grew up bowling and my family was a bowling family, my grandfather's uncle was Barney Spinella, who owned actually a couple of lanes on Staten Island, and he was an ABC Hall of Famer. But I got my education that day from Jim Elliott in the parking lot at Rainbow Lanes.
That's incredible.
About a lot of things.
Yep, incredible stories. Yeah, great guy, Jimmy. He runs a great tournament.
Yep, he certainly does.
Still going strong.
Is there Just for Kicks? Does it still exist? By the way,
91 Lincoln Avenue.
Exactly. And is Jimmy still there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, he's still there, and he sends the bowling results via fax still, and no one gets them at the advance because no one uses fax. So I have to call him up and say, Jimmy, email it to me. Just copy and paste whatever you did it in a Word document or email, and just email it to me. And he sends like a PDF, and I can't copy and paste the stuff, so he makes my job that much harder. So I call him back and say, Jimmy, you have to email it to me. No PDFs. I said, I want to just copy and paste it, and I'll write the story. It's no big deal, I said. But he's still there, yes.
He does, and it's funny. He doesn't do that. Stephanie in the office does it.
Okay.
So
pass it on to Stephanie, please.
She's the one that's been typing them out. I think the last couple of times it's been. I said, Steph, why are you doing this? She goes, you know what? It's easy for me to just do it and tell Jimmy, no problem. I'll take care of it for
great,
you.
Yeah.
We've come a long way from dropping off sheets at the advance at midnight during the week.
1 o'clock in the morning with Danny Ciani taking him. The guy was half asleep, right? It was funny.
Those were great talk fests, though. The people would come in. We used to talk. Stan Golden would bring in the scores from Sunset Lanes, and him and Andy Lagomacino, even though Andy, like I said, didn't like bowling, they used to talk about the stock market.
Right.
And Jerry Lange used to come in and visit me in the middle of the night with coffee and donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd have to stop my work because Jerry had to talk for a while,
Right.
It was, we got to meet. That's another thing. You got to meet all the bowlers because people used to have to drop their sheets off.
Yeah.
You got to meet the bowlers, and you got stories from that. So you had columns built up. The first guy I met bowling wise was 1987. Donnie Walters started Staten Island Bowling Club. He came down to the advance, introduced himself. He said, I heard you took over for Bill Maroney and Andy Goldberg. I'm Donnie Walters, and then we've had a great relationship ever since. So that's how you meet people. I mean, you just have to get out there and talk and chat, and people want to see. I think they respect you more when you're out in the beat.
I've been in a while. I mean, we still drop scores off. I know I did it a couple times, and somebody said, "You did what?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Facts." I said, now, and even facts. You type. It is amazing how you think about where we've come and what you had to do. And Donnie's still cracking at it.
Yeah,
Donnie's still around. Donnie's sadly the tournament was canceled for this year because it would have taken place in March and April. So he'll look forward to next year, but he's still at it.
I spoke to Donnie. He actually called me New Year's Day, just to say Happy New Year, and I finally caught up with him as soon as the pandemic started. We had a phone conversation. He sounded good.
Yeah, and he was looking forward to his call on New Year's Day about 5 o'clock at night. I was out on a walk, but yeah, he had me on the phone for about 2 hours. We were just shooting the breeze about old sports and old stuff, and he keeps going back to back in the 70s and 80s before I was around, and he told me some great stories. Things. He's a great guy, Donnie.
We talked about it. Was last week we were talking about Donnie, and I had said we don't know what this will become when we get back open, but we know it'll still be here. And one of the first things we want to do is put Donnie in the hot seat with some bowlers and have some conversation. So and I'm sure you guys we want you you'll be a part of that too, because I mean Donnie alone, listen, the stories for days, and he's got a gift.
Yeah,
he's got a little bit of a gift to tell
he does.
Amount of, but these days he needs a little help doing that, or a little nudge. Hey, we talked about that already. Hey, I want to pivot just a moment because Pam Silvestri brought it up earlier. I don't know if she's still watching, but she mentioned
said hello. I saw her say hello.
Yeah, and then she also mentioned that the kids are stoked about Little League. Snug Harbor is starting up on July 7th.
Yeah, we heard the same thing. Little League's gonna get going. So I don't know if there's gonna be any kind of harsh guidelines. Someone said no dugouts and maybe only one parent, like in the outfield in the stands. That we're gonna get in touch with the Little League district administrator to find out for sure. But there's gonna be some guidelines. I think the umpire might be situated behind the pitcher's mound, and I don't know how they're gonna work with the batter and with the catcher. They're only 2 feet apart right now, I guess. So they might move them back a little bit, the catcher. So there's going to be some kind of guidelines. We'll have them out for you in a couple of days.
Yeah.
That's good to know, Joe, because I'm going to be writing my Staten Island parent column very soon. So I'll be stealing some stuff from you.
That's fine.
Plagiarism.
SI Parent, just by the way, SI Parent's coming out. They canceled. They suspended publication during the pandemic, but it'll be back out in July, from what I understand.
Great.
That's great. And I think there was a digital issue in the beginning. Like the first issue was digital. They took a break. And then I have to say, Staten Island Parent has been doing some great stuff. They've been moderating some live streams with small business owners. They've been sharing and posting as much information. So another medium that, is predominantly print, which we're an advertiser for 25 plus years. We still see value in that print medium. So now through all this, they've still stayed relevant, which is great. So it'll be nice to see something, some print. So my nephew plays for Great Kills Little League, and they were teasing the same thing, but as far as we knew, they didn't set a date. So maybe they'll all be around the same time frame, which will be good.
Yeah, they're going to try to play. They're going to try to play a 10 to 12 game season. Then they're going to try to have a district all-star tournament for the all-stars, and that's going to be as far as they go as the districts.
Okay.
What about the Staten Island Soccer League?
They're waiting to hear from the governor too, and the local officials to see when they're going to start up. But they were anticipating to go. When I spoke to them in April, they were expecting to go by June 1st, but obviously it's not going to happen. But I think they're going to go probably the same time, July 1st, July 7th, maybe after the 4th of July. So
my grandson plays Clark Little League, and this was his 12-year-old year.
Right.
And they were told that the season is canceled.
Wow. That's New Jersey?
Yep. And they're getting ready to have their travel practices, but there'll be you won't have a 12-year-old Little League year, which I think is really sad.
That's crazy. I know some of the travel softball programs on Staten Island shut down for the rest of the year, but they're going to start travel now in New Jersey. I think they're going to start next week and play some tournaments in Pennsylvania and Delaware and New Jersey. So I thought it was kind of, harsh that they cut the season out on Staten Island so fast for the Staten Island Saints and some teams like that, because there's still, you could still play the whole month of July. I know they have to be over by July 31st or whatever, to July 30th, but they could still play 4 weekends of tournaments. They could still get in 10, 12 games.
Thought you guys had an interesting story today on Freddie Sabito.
Yes.
With that he's going to Wagner for an extra year.
Yep.
To play baseball because of the baseball draft that it's cut down so much.
Yeah, he was supposed to go like the 20th to the 29th round, he thought, and he said it's not going to happen. He can still be drafted, but he's not going to be in the top 5 rounds, he said. So he's going to go back for his 6th year at Wagner College. It's really his 5th year. He was redshirted the first year. So he has 1 year of eligibility left. And I think they worked out some details, with the expense and stuff like that. He got a pretty good deal. He's going to go back and get his master's, I guess, in business administration, he said. And he's hoping to get drafted next year if they go back to the 40 rounds. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think it's going to be somewhere between 5 rounds and 20 rounds, I heard, for next year and going forward.
When Freddie was young, he all these travel teams would ask him to come pitch for them. And I remember my son was playing. Freddie was like a year or two younger than my youngest son, Michael. And we had a travel team, and it was like, I don't know how many different teams that we would go to the game and Freddie would be pitching for that team. I don't know how they ever worked that out.
That's great. He was a great player in high school. I used to cover him at Susan Wagner. The guy used to hit hit the cover off the ball, and he was a gre't pitcher too back then. So I know he got better in college, obviously, but I haven't seen him the past 4 or 5 years. But just an all-around great player and a lefty. 6'6", 6'7". You can't teach those things. 6'7" lefty. So
right,
incredible.
Yeah. Back to the Little League, somebody was asking about the travel ball, but then Terry, who I thought was working, mentioned that. So it's going to be state by state, because I believe they talked, and I remember getting a little frustrated over this. Youth sports could start like within phase 2, and I'm like, well, wait a second, hey, we've got an outlet here. Sports, we're just outside. But I guess her grandson plays in Pennsylvania, so their travel ball is going to be, I would imagine, state by state too. But they traveled to Ohio this past weekend, so I mean, I think state by state, it'll be how they embrace it and what's going on. Summer camps are going to be open, but summer camps, each camp, some have said yes, some have said no. We'll take the summer off, but they have restrictions too: no travel, no offsite camp. So it'll just be interesting to see how all of these kids' activities will pan out.
We our newspaper with the United Federation of Teachers, we publish in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, at a printer there, and that town depends on the Little League World Series to get for their economy. Wow. And there will be none this year, so that's a town they're going to have to figure out their budget, because they're going to be losing a lot of money this summer.
Are they moving that from that Little League World Series?
There was I had heard something about that a couple of years ago, but then the folks I spoke to in Williamsport said no, that it's not going to happen. So maybe it's another level that this is going to move. You heard to California, Naz?
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard. Yeah,
right. Maybe that's just another level of it. Maybe it's Senior Babe Ruth or the girls or something. Oh, okay. They say that if you've ever been to Williamsport, and we've had Staten Island's had a number of teams that have played in Williamsport. It's there's like a museum there, of all the you go there and you see the Mid Island Little League 1964 team on the walls in the museum, and I find it, the town handles it really well. I would find it difficult to believe that they would want to move it, because they've got a great setup there.
Yeah, I agree with Joe too. I mean, when you go cover those Little League World Series out there, the town's become engrossed, and the whole week of the players are out there. They take players into their houses. They're out in the street for the parades. It's all about the kids for that 1 week. So I can't see them moving it unless it's economics are involved or something. They want to save some people some money. Then I move it to maybe the middle of the country or maybe to California, so the Pacific teams can get over here. The Japanese teams can make it easier. But I think it's a great setup in Williamsport. I think it'll hurt tradition. I think it's about tradition. I think if they move from Williamsport, I think they're going to hurt the tradition of the game, of that Little League World Series.
It's hard to believe how many people go to those games too. And this, you have that huge berm, and you just kind of like spread out. We were watching. I remember I went there 1 year. Went there to actually did business and pleasure. We visited the printing plant for our newspaper, and then my wife and I were watching. We were watching games. I think we were watching like Mexico against Hawaii, and my wife said to me, "Why are we doing this?" And I said, we were sitting on a blanket in the sun, nobody bothering us. I said, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do this?
That's cool.
So it's really nice experience, and the kids have a ball there with it's invariably it's going to rain, and the kids get their cardboard and they slide down the hill, and everybody gets muddy. But it really is an event, and it's a lot of fun.
It's again, we go culture and tradition. Like, so you pull that out of that, and don't get me wrong, if they found a new location, they create new tradition, but it's so ingrained in those communities.
Right. That generations of people have grown up with that being part of
their backyard. It's no different than the Kentucky Derby, another same thing. You have all these great events that revolve around, and the neighborhoods, and people move. People flock to those towns for that in some cases, but they travel. In bowling, we've got the National Bowling Stadium in Reno, which is a beautiful place. They just remodeled. It's going to be exciting to finally go back. But when it comes to on the youth side, we travel with our events, so we don't really have that quote unquote place. Home.
Right.
Is there still a bowling Hall of Fame in St. Louis?
So when the Cardinals, so they used to share the Hall of Fame with the Cardinals, if you ever been there in St. Louis. So when they did the revitalization of the downtown, our Hall of Fame, it was between 2007 and 2008, had an opportunity. We were moving all of the entities down to Arlington, Texas. And so rather than staying and continuing to be a part of the revitalization, which our Hall of Fame had an opportunity to, they picked up and moved to Arlington, Texas. So in Arlington, Texas is the International Bowling Campus, which houses USBC, BPAA, all of our entities. And then it's right down the block from the Jerry Dome, AT&T Stadium, the ballpark at Arlington, and it's right across the street from Six Flags. So it's in this really cool sports mecca, but doesn't get the same traffic that it would have
if it was part of
stayed in the downtown district. Because they did a great job. I was there before and after that revitalization,
St. Louis,
and it was really cool to see what they did, and lots of walk up. But we took the leap of faith to be with our partners in this other sports mecca. So no, but it's got a great new home and a beautiful new Hall of Fame.
It's beautiful.
So if you go down to Arlington, go check it out, and it's right down the block from the new Arlington ballpark, which is hideous.
I've been there. My son, my second son, Will, used to work for the Texas Rangers minor league system, the AA team in Frisco, and so we would when we went to visit him, we would go to the ballpark at Arlington.
Oh, and that was one of the first modern day parks, and it's beautiful.
Right.
It's still really beautiful to this day. So they've taken the city money. They're building this new stadium, and like I said, if you see it, it's ugly, but that they've added more. Texas Live was open. Bars and restaurants. Really, they've done a nice job at building up that area. Yeah. So when the Super Bowl was in town, it was just so different. And now with the new stadium, they're talking about even keeping the ballpark at Arlington running for other events. So there's going to be those 3 stadiums there. I don't see how it'll work.
Little tight space. Yeah.
Interesting. And Jerry owns the Dome. They own the Walmart. They own all that property. And AT&T Stadium is absolutely beautiful too. That is and it's a great experience if you ever have the opportunity to go check that out. Hey, you guys are awesome. We appreciate you taking some time with us today. Welcome back to the show, because you guys were on the show before.
They may be on first repeats.
Oh, hey, just to let you know, I spoke to Figgy after he was on the show.
And
he says he's looking forward to coming back and bowling there.
I told you, Frank. I wasn't making it up.
I know you weren't.
I said that. In fact, he remembered your names. I was like shocked. I said I've been talking to my brother. I said if my brother has the bowlathon in if they're able to do that bowl-a-thon in November, I said they should have Figgy there at that event.
That would be
Cool.
perfect.
Yeah, we've got some ideas. He said he'd come in a heartbeat, so he's not far. We want to do something. We want to do something special.
Yeah, I'm making a plan for him.
He's one of the real good guys. Figgy's a real good guy.
Yeah, he's really.
And just for the record, he's been our longest show yet.
Yeah, still our longest show.
I know we could go on for days, but he was almost 2 hours, and he was great. He really was great.
Yeah.
And even Pedro was on right before him, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
But some people just have that gift, and he's got this gift, and we just kept, all of a sudden we looked at time, and like, yeah, we probably should go. Hey, you guys are great. We appreciate it. We know you guys will be back soon, and before you know it, Joe, you'll be writing live. You'll be writing about what's happening live. High school graduations will be over. We'll be telling this story. We're probably going to laugh about this at some point.
I'm sure we will.
You know what? One day at a time.
Yeah. I'll be at the first Little League game on July 7th, if that's the case. I think I'll get out there and cover it, do some kind of feature on what the kids did, for the past 3 months in the houses and the coaches. I'm sure some crazy coach out there had the kids run on the beach somewhere the last 2 months that we don't know about, so who knows?
Yeah. We're looking forward to getting up and running.
Yep.
Yeah. It'll be exciting. I mean, we're starting to get back.
Yeah.
Let's get back and ready to roll.
Yeah, we're ready.
So in the meantime, stay healthy.
Thanks,
and,
guys.
We'll talk to you guys
Thank
soon.
you so much.
Good to
Joe,
see you.
take
Thank
care.
you for having us.
Nat,
Good to
take
see
care.
you, Joe.
Good to see you too. Thank you. Be well.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
All right, bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Let's go Mets whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Go Mets. and Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas Raiders, I should say. Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders, yeah.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
I have to say, I'm looking that stadium. Having watched them build the stadium in Vegas,
In Vegas,
a few times,
yeah.
that stadium really came up really pretty quick. And I mean, it's the location. The location is still odd because there's still a lot of congestion. There's a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they
build the infrastructure around it.
I mean,
for access. I know.
I want to be positive about them. It's like if you really look at it, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, well, because that if you think back to Vegas like years ago, I mean the strip was you could drive up and down the strip with no problem. Now it's always congested, and all of the roads coming in and out of that area is.
They've done a good job. When they built the T-Mobile Arena between the two casinos and that parking facility, that created a problem, but that really works. So then I think they were originally going to build over by the college, and then that changed.
Right,
and
that's right.
So it's just they did a really good job with Las Vegas Boulevard and the walking. So the problem was before you could just walk wherever you want, like New York, just cross here, cross.
Right, because now they have.
It's set up where you can't go. The glass
you can't
walls.
cross the street anywhere.
No,
just
the worst place to cross is by Caesar's Palace, and I mean it's the best place to get to where you're going to go, but it's so congested. But there's that one, and then you have a couple of overs. They've done a nice job.
Right.
It'll just be interesting to see, and the stadium really looked really nice. And I'm hoping the best. My great uncle was a huge Oakland Raiders fan. And I'm sure if he was still alive today, this would be killing him.
Oh, yes.
My cousins still live out there. And,
like when the Dodgers left Brooklyn.
Yeah, he'd be heartbroken. But the people I will say that in Las Vegas, they've been between the hockey team. They've
really embraced it. Yes,
and the hockey team, they get more people. I don't know. I think we talked about this here at some point. Somebody who we talked about this with, their practice facility actually more attendance. They're oversold in attendance at the practice facility, which is out by Red Rock,
right?
And then which is cool. They've now have this culture of fans, and they've built it up. And so when they had that great season,
right?
So now they've built on that,
right? A built-in fan base. That's how you build a fan base.
So the Oakland Las Vegas Raider thing is going to be interesting to see how the fans truly embrace this. How they're going to truly embrace.
And if you're a Raider fan, are you still a Raider fan?
I mean, that's how I feel. If I'm a fan, I'm a fan.
Football's kind of been a little different. I think that I've come across more people who are from New York that are not
New York
Jets Giants. They're not they could be Dallas fans or New England fans, or of course those are the more obvious ones. And I remember asking somebody, so how did you become a fan of this team? And a lot of times it was because they liked the quarterback.
Good question.
What?
You have a question. Terry, I mean, you could have just texted us.
Yeah, that would have been.
So how many copies do you need, Nez?
She has the envelopes to fill. She's going to fill the envelopes.
Just make a few hundred copies, Terry.
No.
You're going to need them anyway.
50 is fine. I have a whole second home. So
Oh, okay. Anyway.
just fill the envelopes, Terry. Enough so that the envelopes are full. She's special.
This is nothing new. I mean, this happens here.
You're
anyway.
right.
So you were saying, it's generational, though.
Yes. So a lot of times people will what have been told is they would like a particular quarterback, so they kind of gravitate towards that team, like Green Bay or or Miami, right? And so that's kind of where they kind of gravitated to as a fan.
Definitely less geographic fans. And I know tons of Green Bay fans, Niner fans,
Miami Dolphins, a lot of. I mean, I probably know people who are fans of every football team.
Yeah.
Of every football team.
But that's so true. And baseball is very geographic.
Yeah.
But there are also more baseball teams.
Right. But it tends to just be your homegrown team.
That's interesting. So true. Yeah. So we've been sharing some old photos.
What's today's old
today's
photo?
old photo, it's a Staten Island Advance file photo.
We love
in honor
those.
of our guest today. It is not here from Rabs. It's a pre-Rabs Country Lanes photo. This is a Rabs Bowling on the Green photo.
Oh.
This is my dad on the right and Tony. That's Tony Alcamacio? Is it Tony?
I don't
from the Windjammer. They had done a local contest with other restaurants for the best wings. And so this was a Jim Romano advance file photo.
Wow.
Photo of them inside. I believe this is inside. This is inside Bowling on the Green, which was the restaurant Circles on the other side of the bar.
Circles.
And this was the competition for the best wings that Daddy and Tony started. Good guy.
Look at the rabbit.
Look at him.
I could. It's funny. Sometimes you look at a picture of somebody, and I can hear him.
Which one?
I literally that picture. I can hear your dad. I can just hear him. Just that face. It's funny.
That's something
that was a nice picture.
That was one of those promotions and events that he talked about a lot. And it's funny. I was just talking about this with my mom. Everybody makes the best. And the conversation then over 20, 30 years ago was the same today.
Right.
Everybody makes the best wings.
Right.
And so that was, they were in Rotary together. They were a bit friends through business.
Right.
The Windjammer being down the road.
Right.
Which is, that's still there. It's now the Marina Grand.
Yeah.
But, of course, Tony's moved on. But that's today's old photo.
That was a nice one, Frank. Thank you.
This is a little bit of this is a photo, but it's our meme of the day. But the caption's not in the photo. So the caption of this photo.
So there is a photo. Okay.
Okay. This is what we're seeing these days all over the place. But the caption here is that pirates are going to be very confused in 2020.
You should have shared the other one with the swing.
Tomorrow. It's funny. I went back to my phone. I said I knew I had another meme for today, and I deleted it because I had sent it out.
You see memes, they make you giggle, but that will be tomorrow's. That'll be tomorrow's. It's really it honestly made me laugh out loud. I was laughing out loud at that one.
Oh, well.
But it was a day off, so I was just in a happy mood.
Yeah. So it's funny because we were on the same wavelength, and I was. You get comfortable. Yesterday, I really did nothing. I worked. I had some work to do on my computer. Right. I did the same thing I did the week before. I went outside. I took my laptop. I sat in the shade. I did not break an umbrella this week.
Awesome.
I found my spot. I laid out there. I did some stuff around the house, but I really did not much, and it was really nice not to do that. So, to an extent, I'm not really going to have that opportunity. after post quarantine,
It's not
we're
gonna
not going to really
happen.
have that
Yeah,
opportunity. And
we're
I
not.
never do. I mean, we've got this. I've got a great yard. It's our escape. I mean, we don't go on vacation, so
Yeah,
our
yeah.
yard is
Your
our
yard
escape.
is your thing.
And
Absolutely.
I don't get to enjoy it as much as I really like to. I mean, I grill and I cook a lot now more than ever.
Right.
But it was nice to actually
Yeah.
do that. And I even cooked yesterday, and I didn't even use the barbecue.
Wow. You did regular cooking.
I did. Yeah, I cooked on the stovetop. Check that out.
Look at you.
Huh.
Look at you.
I mean, I could have used the barbecue, but I just chose not to.
So yeah. So of course I didn't do nothing because I don't ever do nothing. But I'm refinishing my patio set, and it was funny because I started it in the morning,
a fun job.
and I said, you know what?
Said nobody
I'm
ever.
just gonna do the table for now. And
how's that going?
well, it looks beautiful. It looks brand new.
But you can't just do the table.
No, I have to do everything. So I got kind of caught in the middle of that project. And
so what are you using? You have a metal you have a metal table?
I have an aluminum patio set,
like
you know,
ours.
not cheap. No, but you know, they take a beating after a few years. And it's a beautiful set, but I just got sick of looking at it. And so a wonderful artist online was able to help me. And she suggested a paint. I think it's called, I'm going to check it out. I think it's called Metal Masters. It's something Masters.
I'm making note.
And I'm going to actually, I ordered
I want a picture as well of your.
You will not
Did you
believe
take a
it.
before and after? Did you take a before picture?
I definitely took a before.
We've got a lot of paint chips. I will tell you, over time, we've done a little, like the Rust-Oleum only goes a long way, and you sit there and you want to, are you sanding it and finishing it?
She said you don't even really have to, because she did her own personal table. And she goes, honestly, I didn't sand it. And
is
it
it a
looks
spray
great.
or is it you roll
it
it
is
on?
a roll-on paint. And
we might be learning something here for anybody that needs to fix their patio furniture.
I'm telling you, I started taking pictures. I said I did one little section of it, and I was so happy with how great.
And the
it
legs
came
are the
out.
worst because, of course, they take the most beating.
Yeah, but
so
you just use a little foam brush.
Even last night, I'm looking out in the sink, and I look out at the table, and I'm like, oh, there's this big, like right on top of the table. It's a spot that never gets covered. It's in between like a placemat and what you'd put in the middle of the table, and it kills me. We got a bunch
chip.
of them.
You mean
it's a chip? Yeah. I mean, you can only just. I mean, there was a point. I even I had a small one. I took a Sharpie just to
cover it in so you can't see it.
And that doesn't last. That's just
it's just
feel good for a week.
Right. It's actually Modern Masters is the paint.
Okay.
And it's metallic paint.
Might have a new project.
Oh my! Oh, what I wish send you pictures.
Does the paint smell good? Because I like non-good.
It's out. I did it outside, so I couldn't really smell it. But the paint went on beautifully. It looks. I can't tell. You know, sometimes you do projects that are satisfying. That was a satisfying project. The hardest part of that whole thing was I said, you know what? I'm painting it. Let me just go through, tighten up all the screws on everything, take the feet off, put new levelers on. That was the hardest part of the whole thing, was finding the feet and finding the screws to replace one or two screws. But it'll be finished within a day or two.
Crafty Nazi.
It's very satisfying.
It is that those satisfying videos of them cutting things. I mean, I like those. So that's a satisfying thing too.
It is. I like doing things around.
We almost said at some point because they're not cheap, and like, so I buy a new one, and I'm like,
exactly. That's it.
Because it's. I mean, if the set is over, we moved with the set, I believe, and so it's over 15 years old, and I mean, look at it, and the crux of it is great. I mean, there are no problems.
Right.
It's just the paint chips.
It's aluminum. Nothing happens to it.
We've done over time to things.
Right, really. Structurally, it's fine. You turn it over, tightened up all the screws, replace the feet, a new paint job.
All right.
It's like a new set.
I'm on. So, hey, episode 75. Today would have been 76 had we worked yesterday.
But we didn't. So we're moving on.
So 75 diamonds, a diamond anniversary. 75.
It is a diamond anniversary.
We've surpassed everyone's age.
Pretty much.
Day 84 of the quarantine. Happy phase 1. and hopefully we smooth sailing ahead.
Smooth sailing,
And
I
before
believe.
you know it, we'll be back. We'll hear some pins crashing, and that'll be fun. But in the meantime, we're here until further notice now, 6 days a week,
6
Monday
days.
through
Our phase 1.
Saturday.
This is all phase 1.
Phase 1 from live from Rabs. We're phasing out Sundays. I like it.
That doesn't mean that every phase we're going to take a day out.
No.
This is just our way of going into phase 1.
And as long as the weather stays nice on Sundays, I'll be excited. I mean, I'm only excited for weather to stay nice on Sundays when we're not open.
Right. Once we're open, it can go back to crappy weather.
Do whatever you want. We don't care. We need the crappy weather. Let's get you in. So the rest of the week, we got a great week ahead. Danielle McEwen is going to be on with us.
Exciting.
WBA champion. We'll talk to her about her experiences on tour, coming through the ranks, Team USA, this past weekend, these upcoming TV shows.
Yeah, there's exciting stuff coming up for her. Yeah.
And of course, the PWBA season, which I know was a shot in the arm, but hey, here we are. We'll have a weekly check-in with Pam Silvestri. We'll talk food as we always do. And you never know who might come on with her.
Never, ever know.
But Pam's always a breath.
Yeah, we love having Pam.
Breath of fresh air. And Saturday, PBA Pro Bowler Saturday with the one and only Andrew Kane.
Andrew's going to be great.
So we're looking forward to the rest of the week here on Live from Rabs. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Continue to like, share, subscribe.
Smash the like button. Subscribe.
Smash it. Oh, so at first I thought this was like a
paddle. I know.
You're gonna hit me with something.
No.
Because I did get hit with the wooden spoon as a child.
Yeah, well,
until it was broken.
Well, yeah.
Story for another
It's a Sagittarian thing. We have that rebel. So just one weird thing again today. It happens that I sat here and I picked my mood for the day.
You did.
He did not see what I was doing. I just put it down.
I actually didn't even see you change it because when I came in before and set up, it was on managerial.
Yes,
I think it was what it was. And when I sat down, I was focusing, getting set up, wasn't paying attention, and I said to you, "Hey, so what's your mood today?"
Frankie said, "I feel like I'm rocking today," and I was like, "Really? What are there? 50 of these things in here? 50? There's a lot.
Second time.
It's more than the second time.
We picked the same one.
Picked the same one.
Hey, that's a good thing. That means it works. We gel together. We're excited. I did miss you yesterday.
I missed you too. I mean, it was nice to have a nice day. Then I went to the hardware store about 4 times, but that's okay.
Well, we're going to do it again tomorrow.
We are.
And
the day after.
Thanks, Joe and Joe, for...
They were awesome. I love having them on. And we got breaking news. You didn't even make a big deal out of
I put the breaking news sticker on.
I know.
Because he didn't give you... I mean, Joe just jumped right into it. He's in news, so he just went straight into it. And we'll have them back. And I think we need to have them. I said it with the thing when we do the Donnie show. I mean, and I mentioned this to Donnie, and he was excited. I spoke to him. And
he'll
do
would
anything.
That would be great.
But before we go, I do want to say, please check in on your friends and family that you haven't heard from. I got a phone call last week before our show. I didn't share this one. John Simonella from Ohio. John is 98 years old, I believe. And John, he's a servant of bowling. He's a lifelong bowler. He's still serving his local association. He's been coming to the USBC national conventions for 60 years.
Wow.
Just an awesome guy. I had the opportunity to meet him in the early days of going to the convention. And he still keeps in touch. He wrote a book about teaching bowling, and he calls every so often. And I'll call him. But the phone rang, and the phone is off. So if the desk phone rings, that means somebody calls a different line, or just it blips, maybe multiple calls at the same time. Well, his call actually came through, so I picked it up.
It was meant to be.
It probably was meant to be. I mean, we have the same conversation all the time, but he's a great guy, and it was nice to hear from him.
Yeah.
But again, 98 years old, still tells me he can't wait to see me at the convention next year.
You know what it is? There were a lot of people who are they're home by themselves, and if they're older people, a lot of them are not computer savvy, and like a 2-minute phone call would mean the world to them. So yeah, check in on people. Check in.
Please.
See how people are doing.
You know, and because when we come out of this, we'll be back together. We'll be back to somewhat life as we knew it. And we'll be back to being busy.
Yeah.
And so we don't always make the time to do those things. So make the time and call someone, reach out that you haven't spoken to. That's Frank's advice of the day.
That's nice. Spread love, Frank.
Spread love. Yes, spread love.
Spreading the love.
In the meantime, continue to wash your hands.
Yes. Don't touch your face.
Only if you've washed your hands.
And maybe even then, think about it.
We'll see you tomorrow. Inez.
That was awesome. Have a good day, everybody.